welcome everyone. Yossi Helfman, good morning, good evening in Israel. Welcome everyone to Feminine Leadership Friday, and today's installment is about how 3 ways that ancient healing music can help you address burnout and replenish your energy. Ever experienced that in the, let's say in the last 2 weeks, right? Yes or no on the bottom, whether you're watching now or whether you are watching at another time. And maybe you've gotten to a point, hold on, I'm kind of looking at 2 screens here. Cooly booly. Another time. Whoops, no, I gotta. And maybe you've gotten to a point. Whoops. I'm trying to be a bit more technological this time. I've got 2 little screens. I got the computer and I've got the phone screen. Anyway, I'm very excited to share with you how you can use ancient music, healing music, to recover burnout and overwhelm. And if you've gone off, you may have gotten to the point, if you keep going, to the point where you can't even remember what you want to do or what your dreams are. You know, if it's a Lauren, having a problem writing in the chat. Well, I see you, so that's great. Hold on, let me just check in here. Yeah, well, got you. I can see it just fine. So I hope, can you hear me okay? Yeah, put in the chat. Because I'm seeing you guys, Yossi and Lauren, really well, and I'm so happy you're here. And so let's go back to this issue of burnout. Burnout could be short-term burnout when you're pushing, you know, to get to the end of a goal. Maybe you've got a time deadline on something, whether it's work, whether it's personal, it doesn't matter. But you push, and then you get burnt out afterwards because it's just too much. We saw it a lot during the holiday period right now, where it like could be full-time on, because there are more activities, there are more gatherings, family gatherings, work gatherings, and it stirs up a lot of feelings, and it's within a very short period of time, and then the body kind of breaks down. If it's over a period of time, then it can be that you burn out to the point where causes depression, and you don't really even remember what your dreams are. And though you got to where you are by working hard, now that same thing sucks the lifeblood out of you, and you may experience or recognize that symptom by your have-to-do lists are like longer, and they compete with your restorative time, and it's this sense of keeping you enslaved. And if you can relate to this, then it may be a symptom of your being out of balance and living life disjointedly. And a lot of times what happens, and this is particularly so in Western cultures, so those of you in Asia, maybe it's less there, but in today's world, pretty much all over, that work and personal life get compartmentalized. And that too is very, very depleting. And when that happens, if you feel unfulfilled and cut off, it's often a signal of a deeper problem, that you're disconnected from the nurturing source of your feminine power. Because it's not just that life for all of us today, the world is in such change that we're all in overwhelm. And, you know, there's things are faster, things are more intense. And when you're shut off from your feminine power, it shuts you off from your flow of energy. And that causes a sense of depletion and exhaustion. And your body maybe screaming for you to stop, yet your mind keeps going and it pushes you to do more for fear that if you stop, you'll lose control. Can you relate? Am I on target? Right? Yes? No? Let me see. Lauren, Yossi, is this making sense? Can you relate? Or if you're watching afterwards, if you're a business owner or entrepreneur, yeah, oh, great, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is very interesting. And, you know, if you are a business owner or an entrepreneur, maybe when this happens and there's this disjoint, another symptom is you may fear that you can't stop because, oh my God, if I don't stop, then the bills won't be paid because the bills still have to be paid. And even if you're not a business owner or entrepreneur, but you are connected, you lead a group of people, or you're even a householder, you fear you can't stop because so many other people depend upon you. There's so much to do, and you're a dependable person, and you don't want to let other people down, right? So you end up doing more. That's what that process causes, but you end up with diminishing results and being unwilling to let other people down. Then you end up burnt out and you end up depleted. And the worst part is you've ended up letting down the most important person in the world who actually can make a difference, you. And it's very painful, and that pain causes a shutdown that depresses too, because the depression compounds because you've abandoned yourself by ignoring signals that are beckoning you to stop and to take time out and to retreat. And especially with women, there's this sense of, well, if I stop, we're so used to being there for everybody else that if we stop, oh, it's self-indulgent, it's self-centered. No, it's critical self-care. When you put other people's needs before your own, you end up depleting yourself and you disempower yourself, and you can't be of help to anyone else. So how much longer really can you afford that stress and exhaustion that comes from not stopping? It is literally a matter of life and death. That's why I'm addressing it today. Today, I recently read a research project that more and more women are dropping dead today of heart disease. It's like the #1 silent killer, and it's in of epidemic proportion in midlife women. No prior warning, just like that. And heart disease, it's a stress-related disease. So they call it the silent killer. So what can you do to banish burnout and depletion? Well, here's where ancient healing music comes in. Now, in ancient times, leaders, they would regularly retreat to temples, and they would avail themselves of sacred sound applications and rhythms that would bypass the intellect and connect them to higher spheres, to higher mind. Now, we've got to remember that in those days, temples were, we don't have that in our modern times. A temple was a combination of a spa, a hospital, a yoga studio, a university, and a community center and a tea room, let's say. And this was regular practice. And the buildings themselves were built for and by sound. We had very, very sophisticated connection with the healing properties of music and sound. And so historically, we also see that, like, on the way to the temples in the hieroglyphics, for example, in ancient Egypt and in ancient Israel, that on the way to the birthing chambers and on the way to burial chambers, there are women musicians on either sides. Music was used in particular during times of transition, birth and death, and in transition going through change. And Voices of Eden is here, exists to revive this ancient practice and the ancient use of sound. So think about it. Transition, like critical transition, birth, death, critical life changes, they create a tremendous amount of stress. And there are ways that you can use music to overcome the burnout and the depletion that happens when you don't retreat. And it's kind of like a mini way for you to retreat. So I'd like to know at this point, what are you taking so far from this? What's the one thing you most relate to? Yossi or Lauren, comment on that, question on that? Or anybody else who, if you're watching later, comment, and then I'll come back and I'll circle around again and check the comments and questions and respond. All right, well, let's go on. So let's cover 3 ways that you can use ancient healing music to overcome burnout and depletion. Number 1, by using acoustic sound. Right? Music today is more prevalent than ever before. We hear it everywhere. In the retail environment, in a supermarket, you go into a shopping mall and every store has the mall has music and each store has music. It's like cacophony. On the computer, on your telephone. Oh, the use of music in ancient temples fascinates me. Okay, cooly bully, Lauren. What fascinates you? And if you have any questions about it, write it down. Comment here, because I'd be happy to explore that more. It's like majorly cool. So acoustic sound. Back to music. So music today is more prevalent than ever before, and I would say that we have never been more disconnected from music, because the healing property of it has been lost through synthesized music. Actually, in the last few years, there's a shift happening now. It's really exciting. But let's say since the early 80s, when synthesizers came in, like, the real instruments have gone away, and 99% in the whole music industry has shifted. 99% of music on the market today, I would even say, acoustic meaning no synthesizers. 99% of music today is based on a background of synthesized music. Base it on technology, base it on the shift of economy, because you can have an entire symphony, right, in on a keyboard. But it's like, a synthesizer will give you perfection every time, but that doesn't mean that that's music. The vitamins of the music that come from the human being playing the instrument and engaging with the instrument is such a vital part of music. And we have lost the value of music for music's sake. It's a real sad state of affairs today. And at the same time, it offers a fantastic window of opportunity because we have never been more thirsty for that connection. And acoustic sound allows us to reconnect to our regenerative forces within, our regenerative nerve endings. Is this making sense? Yes, music for music's sake. Yeah. And so acoustic sound. How do you know? So when you're overwhelmed, take music that you could look and see who the musicians are, because they're generally credits, and see keyboards. If it says keyboards, it's acoustic. If it says piano, that's acoustic. Okay. Number 2, wordless music. Wordless vocals. I'm going to be 2020, I'm going to be sharing more and more about healing voice and wordless vocals. It is a major part of this ancient healing music and feminine leadership way. And the shift of this year, a portal is opening where suddenly I am finding a way to, not a way, that the connection to our inner and outer expression and how we behave towards ourselves and how that impacts how we show up in the world, and how healing music using wordless vocals is a bridge. What do I mean by that? Is that clear, first of all? Clear? All right, well, what do I mean by wordless? Or why is it important? Let's say that. Why is wordless music another way that healing music helps you to banish burnout and replenish your energy? Well, really, this relates so much to replenishing your energy, because vocals, words, like right now I'm speaking, it's cognitive. My mind is thinking about the language and the words, and it has been a challenge over the years to speak about this field, exactly because the healing property of the sound and where this comes from is beyond cognitive mind. It's from the higher mind. I go back again. Remember how I shared a short while ago that in ancient times we would retreat to temples to avail ourselves of sacred sound applications that were done vocally. It wasn't a synthesizer. It wasn't an orchestra. And rhythm. It would bypass our intellect and connect us to our higher mind. And the structures themselves were built for and by sound. And we go to these places in the Israel wisdom retreats. It's just really amazing. You experience yourself in a very, very different way, and you hear yourself in a very, very different way. When wordless music is used, where the sound comes from is a different place. And it can, Lauren, vocalizations from human voice, very soothing. It is, it's very soothing because we're connecting to the source of our voice. And the source of the voice, the source of sound, is silence. And the source of all matter is vibratory. So when we do that, we are connecting to our very own power. One example of wordless music is humming, just simple humming. It's very soothing. We all do it at times, and we're not conscious of it. You can consciously hum to yourself and replenish your energy. And there are many, many, many different ways in our healing music trainings. We go into that in depth. The third way is to banish your burnout, replenish your energy, is to practice the ancient tradition of Shabbat, Sabbath. What does Sabbath have to do with healing music? Well, the tradition does. Let's take Hebrew tradition, for example, Shabbat. The Hebrew practice of the day of rest, it begins on Friday evening. Hebrew observances, they begin from sundown to the following sundown. That also is quite intentional. It's feminine energy property. Think about it. You do, right? You do. Like the sun's out, you're active and taking action, and then the sun goes down and you stop, hopefully. In today's world, 24/7 internet, we never stop. The practice of Sabbath is stopping and giving pause. And in Hebrew tradition, the day of rest is welcomed in with sacred chant, which is devoted to the bride. They say to welcome the Sabbath bride. The ceremony is actually called Kabbalat Shabbat, welcoming in of the Sabbath. And it's a beautiful, I'm getting goosebumps. It's a beautiful, beautiful remnant that we have today that alludes to the sacred healing power of feminine sound. So imagine how it would feel to be able to express what you've got in your heart fully, clearly, with all the power of your soul, without feeling like you've got to tone yourself down or shut it off altogether in service to other people, toning your expression or your very self down to be heard or to be understood by others or to get along with others. Imagine what that would feel like. I have crafted a Replenish Your Energy and Reignite Your Passion weekend retreat to revive this ancient restorative tradition and to help women in transition to get clear on what's next. And this is a revival of that ancient tradition, because through the creative use of healing music and vocal techniques, you can gain new skills for speaking your truth, for nurturing yourself, that takes you out of your head and into your heart. And as a result, you replenish yourself, you fill yourself up, which then allows you to be full to overflowing. And then you can give from a place that is authentic, not because you're people-pleasing somebody else and depleting yourself in the process. And that engenders connection and intimacy and satisfaction and fulfillment. And you gain the clarity when you stop to know what's next for you. And so that is what the weekend retreats help you do. And this particular one, the next one, by the end of the weekend, you reawaken the power of your feminine wiles. I don't mean the old kind to manipulate others. I mean your creative power through ancient feminine sound healing techniques. And imagine gaining crystal clarity of your direction, of where you are, of reclaiming delicious forgotten parts of yourself. Because by learning these ancient feminine sound healing techniques, you end up breathing more deeply, sleeping more soundly, remaining calm amidst chaos, effortlessly experiencing such a deep resonance of your authentic power, such that you can just show up in the moment, no matter what's going on around you, and be able to be you, centered, fearlessly projecting your voice, being seen and heard, and making sounds that free you to become a model yourself by your example, a model of healing. So during this weekend, you imagine yourself wrapped in the wings of Shekhinah, which is the divine feminine presence, because we're going to unwind with a magical candlelit ancient feminine healing music Shabbat ceremony, and we're going to relax into our introduction and intention setting session, which sets this very deeply peaceful pace of the entire weekend. And it's a very intimate environment that creates a sense of safety and serenity. And ironically, we don't have these, like what I said at the beginning of, how we would retreat to sacred temples. And we're going to be retreating in a sacred temple high above, kind of like in the heavens, in the angelic space of Los Angeles, which is particularly potent because approaching this healing music in this way, in the midst of a city, but in a very calm way, really gives you the experience to nourish yourself in a way that you see, oh my God, in my everyday life, I could do this. You don't have to go to the ends of the earth, sit in a desert or in a cave. No, it could be right in the city. That's what you're going to be able to experience. And I've gotten some notes recently. Well, this thing about Shabbat, do you have to be Jewish? No. It has nothing to do with religion. There's this whole approach. There's no dogma. People over the years, well, you're like Miss Israel. You lived in Israel. You must be a Jewish. No. It's nature. There's nothing wrong with religion, but there's no mind system here, no belief system, and there's no right or wrong here. The other thing that people ask a lot too is, do I need to be a singer or need experience with sound? No, you don't. No, you don't. There's absolutely no prior experience required. And actually, if you listen to some of the Voices of Eden recordings, many of them are with participants that we recorded in retreats. And those people had never made a sound out of their mouth. So if you've ever dreamed of hearing your voice and having that just exalted feeling of just being the instrument, this would be a really, really wonderful experience. Really. And if you want to match how you feel inside with the way that you express yourself outside, when you replenish your energy and you retreat, and through availing yourself of these sounds, your inner connection and your outer expression will be aligned. And if you want to live and create with presence and authenticity, if that's important to you, and if you want to be an inspiring leader standing solidly in your feminine power, then I really invite you to join me for this life-changing weekend immersion, where we immerse ourselves doing a deep dive into ancient feminine sound healing techniques. It's going to be like really delicious and really delightful. And if it sounds intriguing, then let's set up a clarity call and see whether it's right for you. I would love, love, love to do that. And I will place a link. I'll place a link to the retreat and also a link to the scheduler, or just private message me, or send me an email to team@voicesofeden.com if you don't find a time that agrees with your schedule. So I want to, well, how about questions now? Hey, Ruthana, cooly booly, so great to see you. So questions, comments, what are you taking from today's session? Oh, Lauren, at higher realms, question marks. What do you mean by that? Oh, you know what? I have the bells here. Here's a fourth way that see these bells? Bells in ancient times, they were used to dissipate negative energy and to break up blocks. We'll be working with bells here too. We'll be here with bells on. I'm waiting to, if you're still here, Lauren, you have a question here, higher realms, question mark, and I don't really understand what you mean by that. And Ruth Anna, oh, I'm joking actually, angelic realms and Los Angeles. I know, well, isn't that funny? Well, it really is amazing because, of course, Los Angeles, the angels, you know, being born and raised here, I knew that, but it's like coming back after the retreat. Well, you were in Israel with us. You know, it's when I came back and arrived at the airport to customs. There's this huge sign, you know, of Los Angeles. It's, I don't know, like several feet high and several feet wide, and it's just like right in my face. Oh my God, the angels, they really, really are here. I know, I live here by purpose, yes. Perhaps you would like to come join us in Los Angeles, Lauren, from France. Would that be cool or what? You could go visit your family on the way back in New Orleans. And Ruth Anna, what is wonderful to hear today? What are you taking from our session today? And yeah, higher purpose. And if you're watching this afterwards, what are you taking from today, and what questions do you have? I will be happy to answer. Et voila. All right, if there are no more comments or questions, then then it's time to go. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat. That is the reason I do Fridays. And I actually would like to know, are Fridays good days to do these live? Yeah. Is it a good day, Friday? I'll remember you that weekend. You'll be with us. Oh, that's an idea. Maybe we could do some live something that weekend. That's a great idea. Put that in the noggin. All right. Well, I wish you a great weekend, and please do something kind for yourself today because you really, really, really deserve it. Bye-bye.